Hello and good evening. My name is Catina Billings, and I will be providing an overview of the literature that I found on the effects of autism and the benefits of early detection. Whoosh! Children running as fast as they can while playing outside in school or at a daycare. 10 children running and counting to 20 while playing hide and seek. 7 children sitting in a circle while playing duck, duck, goose. 4 children racing to see who's the fastest. 2 children holding hands while skipping to the slides. 1 child alone while walking along the perimeter of the playground is searching for bugs. And now it's time to go inside. 1 child, that same child, is still alone and now searching for more bugs inside the classroom. The child who can't hold a conversation long enough to invite friends on his bug venture. The child who sends mixed messages to other children to play or not to play. This is the child who has an autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. The child diagnosed with an ASD will sometimes show no interest in other children when playing. However, the toy dinosaur that he just found on the floor, or the miniature Barbie doll that she just saw in another child's cubby, gets all of that child's attention. The child who has been diagnosed with ASD at times may exhibit similar symptoms, such as the aforementioned, and their communication abilities and capabilities are greatly diminished. When children with an ASD do not have proper or early interventions in place for them to succeed early in life, it is very difficult for these children to make and keep friends while they attend grade school, as well as obtain and maintain employment when they become of age. My introduction is an actual account of a child I encountered daily while working in daycare. The purpose of my review was to show the effects of autism as well as the benefits of early detection. I chose to exhibit these two aspects of autism because, having worked at a local daycare with quite a few children who have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, I was interested in the effects of this disorder and why each child was so different. Each child that I encountered over the years would show various signs and exhibit different symptoms of the disorder. Each one showed totally different signs, although all of them had the same form of ASD. After working with the daycare for over 10 years, I was able to detect when a child showed signs of autism but not been diagnosed yet. Knowing the signs and not having the expertise to inform parents of my findings was excruciatingly frustrating. In this review, I covered ASD and what it is, its effects, and how it affects males and females. I also discussed the two main symptoms of ASD as described in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM-5, which are social communication and restricted and repetitive behavior, the benefits of early detection, and autism initiative resources. An autism diagnosis can be a real problem for the individual, their family, teachers, pediatrician, etc., and even more so when the signs and symptoms go unchecked. When an individual shows signs of slow development or their behavior isn't conducive for the environment of which they are currently in, there should be interventions in place for that individual. The, the interventions should be set up early so that these individuals can grow and thrive like everyone else and also enjoy a decent quality of life. Quality of life is something that should be afforded to everyone, and children with ASD shouldn't be treated any different. The mission of this literature review is to explicate what researchers and science have found on ASD and the effects of it, what ASD means for social communication and restricted and repetitive behaviors, and the benefits of early detection. What if a child has autism spectrum disorder, or ASD? What is ASD? In 1940, a man by the name of Leo Kanner first described and considered autism to be a rare condition. However, we can't dismiss the fact that the CDC notes that ASD is prevalent within about 1 in 54 children identified with some form of ASD. Scientists who study autism have termed it as a spectrum disorder due to the significant heterogeneity of symptoms that exist between individuals with an ASD diagnosis. For instance, toddlers later diagnosed with ASD demonstrate significant variability in their communicative acts and gestures. Moreover, cognitive and language ability range from severe intellectual disability to genius level. For instance, one child diagnosed with ASD could behave totally different from another child diagnosed with the same disorder, but they're somehow within the same spectrum. The term spectrum puts them in the same bracket with a wide range of signs and symptoms, cognitive abilities and disabilities, emotional and social skills. According to the CDC, children and adults could exhibit signs of ASD. Children may not point at objects to show interest. They may not look at objects when another person points at them. They may avoid eye contact and want to be alone. They could repeat actions over and over again, have trouble adapting when a routine changes, appear to be unaware when people talk to them, but respond to other sounds, lose skills they once had, for example, stop saying words they were using, and have trouble expressing their needs using typical words or motions, just to name a few. There are no medical tests to perform in order to diagnose these symptoms and actually call it a disorder. So diagnosing autism or ASD is not an easy task as one may think. Where males and females are considered, so must their differences also be of consideration. This diagnosis is more than 4 times as common among boys than girls, with 1 in 42 boys and 1 in 189 girls receiving an ASD diagnosis. Females seem to be the superior beings in the world of ASD, or either they are being erroneously misdiagnosed. Researchers have hypothesized that girls with high-functioning autism spectrum disorder may have unknown innate female advantages that mask or camouflage their symptoms. This diagnosis is a burdensome disorder for what seems to be a period of a lifetime and all in a day. There are thousands of children who participate in daily functions that involve friends and family. However, there are times when these children do have to perform acts alone, such as attend school, walk to the lunchroom, and process how to dispose of their lunch tray, as well as find their way back to their table to join the other students in their class. There are now 2 domains of symptoms listed in the DSM-5. They are identified as social communication and restricted repetitive behavior, or RRB. Social communication is the first of 2 domains, and communication is the process of exchanging information in different forms with other people. Communication begins early in infancy. It is not limited to language, but includes nonverbal communication and understanding of symbols. The other symptom domain for ASD, which is restricted and repetitive behavior, includes stereotypies, which is hand flapping, preoccupation with parts of objects, such as spinning the wheels of a car, insistence on sameness, restricted interests, ritualistic behaviors such as lining up objects, sensory hypo and hyperreactivity, as well as unusual sensory interests. Children with ASD are at significantly high risk for developing problems with destructive and disruptive behavior. However, researchers do not have a wealth of knowledge on RRBs and why individuals with ASDs exhibit these behaviors. Children diagnosed early access more intervention, demonstrated better verbal and overall cognition at school age, were more likely to attend mainstream school, and required less ongoing support than children diagnosed later. Autism has a direct and significant impact on the services provided by speech-language pathologists. So as SLPs who work with this pediatric population within the autism culture need to know what ASD is. Children with autism accounted for 20% of SLP's caseloads in 2011, which have risen considerably from 6% in 2009. SLPs are an intrinsic part of the growth and development of children who have been diagnosed with ASD. It's important for caretakers to identify strengths and weaknesses of children with ASD. What may be small to others registers at a magnitude of 7.0 on the scale of the child with an ASD. There is much more research and testing to be done for the ASD culture, and it is so important that we do so. To give up on these individuals diagnosing and care before there is a cure for autism would be too much for all of us to bear.